Hello my crafty friends, Corrine here from Corrine Crafts. I hope you are well. Look at this card, isn't it beautiful? So it's all about embossing on napkins. It's all about chipboard elements, laser cut chipboard elements, and then it's all about our foam flowers. And when you put them all together, this is what you get. Lots of techniques in the video. Please sit tight and see it all the way through to the end. You will definitely agree it's worth it once you see how I put this together. So I'm going to leave you there and let you just get straight on with watching how I made this video. A couple of things inspired me to have a go at this card, and one was this beautiful napkin. And as you've seen, I've done a couple of napkin cards. I just think they're just a lovely way to introduce pattern really lightly to your project. So as you can see, I've already taken out a quarter of this, but try to be careful with these. They are so pretty. You can use any napkins. I bought mine from a craft stall that did napkin art, but you could, if you buy them unfortunately from, I don't know, so let's say Amazon or an online supplier, you'll probably have to buy packs with lots in. My packs had one of each design, which is disappointing in some ways because you often think, oh, I'll do another one, and then you haven't got anything left. So I'm going to use that. But the other thing I wanted to do was, when I was looking, can you remember I lost my button box? I came across this basket. This is a basket that was on a shelf, and I've got lots of wood chip bits in here. So you can see some of these in here. You come up so you can see. Hopefully you're seeing these. I've got lots and lots in here. I've got lots of different designs. I've collected them over the years. Yeah, I've got Christmas ones in here. I've got hearts. I've got so many different things. I've got letters. Look at that. That's lovely, isn't it? But so that was, I thought, oh, I really want to use some of those because I've not used them for ages. But one of the ones that I've got quite a bit of is I've got a fair few bits of Bloomer chipboard and quite a lot of scrapping, I think. I don't know. Scrapping. It's a Norwegian company, I think. Or some Polish company, so I'm not sure how you say that, but those are really, really lovely. They're quite lightweight. Now this is one that I've used for years and I love this. I just cut off little pieces. So this is my aim, is to use those sorts of bits. First thing with the napkin, so I have got a piece of white card, so I'm going to show you my measurements here. So this topper here is 2 3/4 inches by 5.5. My front of my card is going to be 5.5 inches by 6 inches, and then my card blank is 1 inch bigger, 6.5 by 7 inches. So I don't, and again, always these things can be adapted depending on the size of the print of your napkin, what size you like to craft with. There you go. I'll put those on the screen for you. So the first thing I need to do is trim down my napkin to go onto here. So I want some white card showing down the sides, so I'm gonna use the darkest blue. I haven't peeled this away, so it's a single layer. I'm going to go through all, I don't know whether can't remember whether this is a 2 or 3 ply. I think it's a 2 ply napkin, so I'm going to use that. So I've done a little bit of wet on there, just like you would if you're doing rice papers. So if you haven't got napkins, just adapt this to rice papers. Remember, we craft with what we've got in our stash. So if you've got rice paper sitting doing nothing, absolutely perfect. I really, really do approve of you getting in there and using some of the bits. Oh, that's a nice width. I like that. So this is going to go on to here. Might just take a tad more off, just so that I've got a little bit more white showing. Not a lot. Let's come down here a little bit. And it also gives you nice fluffy edges as well. Just giving a little bit of damp. It dries so quick. I'm not trimming it down lengthwise, and you'll see why in a minute, because I can get a neater finish. Now, the next thing you need to do is you need to glue it down. And you can do this many ways. So I'm going to turn it over. So you could get something like PVA because it's water-based. So you could mix a bit of this with some water, and then you'd be able to just use that. So if that's what you've got, then go for it. I actually have some napkin art glue. You really don't have to have this. As I say, just mix your water-based glues down. So all I'm going to do is just go over the back, and because I'm using sort of a water-based adhesive, it's going to fuse all the layers of my napkin together. So don't be worried that, you know, as soon as you put it on your card, it's going to fall apart, you know, your top layer is going to come off. It's not, because all the layers will be fused together with your glue, whichever style of glue you want to use. So that's got that onto there. Lift that up. I'm just going to find a dry bit of my mat, put this onto here, and I want the blue flower fairly near the top, just like that. And it works quite well because this little bit that's sort of, what do you call it, sort of printed at the bottom, just tuck around the bottom. And that's what I want to do with this one, is I'm just going to take that and I'm just going to fold it round the top. So let's do the front first. So then I'm just going to run my damp brush over here to flatten it out, and I'm loving that I've got the brushed edges at the side, but I've also got that nice little bit of white, so you can go over. Now I'm not going to be doing stamping over here. If I was going to be doing stamping over here, I would probably do it like one of my previous ones and just use something like dotted tape pen on the back, because you don't want to create a film. So then I'm just going to take a little bit on the back and I'm just going to adhere it down, and I can see now that all my layers are stuck down. There we go. Brilliant. And the glue is so thin on that, I really don't need to leave that very long to dry. But what I do need to do is get my brush in some water so that it doesn't go solid. So once we've got that dry, it will start to try and bend a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit more ink to it. It looks really pretty, but we can make that better. I brought in my sophisticated paint station here, and all I'm going to do, this could be doing with being a bit drier, but I've got a dry one which we're going to use in a minute. And all I want to do now is add some colour. Lots of ways to do this, and I want to show you lots of different ways so that whatever you've got in your craft stash, you can find something. Water reactive ink, a little bit of navy water reactive ink, a little bit of a spray, and then I can just get, actually I want to use that brush that I used in the glue, so we can put that on there, and you'll see I've already been using navy, so I've got little bits on my hands, and then we can splat onto there. So I've kept that quite fine. That will work brilliantly. So that's one way of doing it. Another way is to see if you've got something like your distress oxide sprays, or just your distress sprays, sparkle sprays, whichever one you want. Now I'm not going to spray it. You'll notice I don't tend to spray very often, but I do like to take the end out. I love this one. This is Faded Jeans. It is a beautiful colour, and I'm just going to tap onto there. Now remember, you're on a napkin, so where it hits the napkin, it will do like little sprays. If it was drier, it wouldn't do as much as that. Let's take a little bit of Mermaid Lagoon as well, because it's a different blue, because there's lots of different blues in here, and then we can put that in. If you can let the glue dry, it won't wick as much, but I want it sort of on the blue and the white. There we go. So I'm just there, and I just think that even the ones that are wicked look really nice, don't they, where it's just sort of splayed open a bit. Don't forget to wipe your pokey tool. So just that now needs to be left to dry, and here you go. Look, I've got a nice dry one. It's gone nice and hard, so I'm going to put that one to one side because I'm going to use that would be actually lovely to go on the front cover of like my box I'm going to make for this card. So I've got this, so this looks lovely. I've shown you a few techniques with napkins, stamping on them, using them. We haven't done embossing them. Now you can just put napkins through an embossing folder. If you were to do that, I'd fold it so that you've got lots of depth. But this is now on card, so we're going to put this on. And this is sailing by the seat of my pants because I've not done a prep one with this. I'm trusting it. I'm trusting it to work. I brought in my Gemini MIDI. Now this is a 2D embossing folder. I wish I knew which one it was from. There's no markings on it at all. I don't know if it's 6, I'm not sure. So I'm going to put that just with the shim. It's 2D. Let's go through. If this doesn't give enough of an emboss, we can go back in with an extra shim. But I actually, feeling the resistance, I think that's going to be okay. Oh, look at that now. Look. Oh, that looks amazing. So it's embossed the napkin and the cardstock. Really like that. Doesn't that look fantastic? You know, when you have an idea in your head and it really works, makes you so happy, doesn't it? Now I'm going to mount that onto some white, and by the fact that the white's not embossed, it really looks fantastic. And then onto some blue. I'm going to go in red line just because there's a lot of resistance on this. it's had water, it's had glue, it's had ink, and it's been embossed. I'm just going to actually use red liner just because it's going to grab so much faster. I will use some glue as well, but I want to just go down the sides with red liner. As I always say, give it a good burnish. Can you see the difference? Can you see the print come through, whereas that one's just laid down? This one would be hard to peel until you gave it a bit of a burnish. So let's just take that off. There you go. See, it comes straight off. As long as your tape's burnished, it comes off. So then we go in with a little bit of our tacky glue. I can put it on top of the red liner and then all over here. There we go. And that will then, I don't get glue all over, sit on my 2 matte layers. I do like white on white. It is pretty, but doesn't that look beautiful? It just has a different look and a different texture to using cardstock. You know, if you want to do it with a paper pad, go for it. That would work as well. You could just cut that down. But yeah, really, really pleased with that. And that needs to go onto a card base. I've been getting my card base ready. And if you remember that little piece of card I showed you. So I mentioned my large piece of white was 5.5 by 6. So this is here. So this is going to sit on the edge just here. And then my card base is 6.5 by 7 inches. So I've already stuck some on. I've actually put on a silver layer as well, just because I fancied doing that. Let's just bring that in there so you can see it. And those two being done flat, and I'm going to do this flat. I did think, because it's got 4 matte layers, did I want some foam tape on? But then I decided no, because I'm going to be putting dimensional flowers on. And I thought if I put dimensional flowers on and then too many layers with height, I'm going to struggle with it. It's just going to be too bulky. Like I said, this one is definitely a card for a box because it's got flowers on. But I still post my boxes. If I do it in a box, I just put them in a poly bag. You know, those plastic parcel bags. Yeah, get them, do the poly bag up as tight as you can around the box. And they're usually absolutely fine. I've never had any problems. There you go. Isn't that lovely? I do love navy and white. It is very classy. Now I'm going to put this on here. Now, if you remember, I mentioned about some of those laser chipboard. And I've got this one. And I actually found it came from here. I often used to buy 2 of them. So it was a panel for you to put a sentiment on. But I didn't want that. So I'm going to put that. And I'm going to pop that underneath here. So what I've actually done is I've used it's about 3.5mm foam tape so that this slides perfectly under there. So I think the easiest way to do it would be to put this on first, because I've actually raised it up higher than that chipboard. Oops. And then put that there so that you could see, and then I've moved it. So I can put this onto here. Always put a little bit of glue on your foam tape, and it just means if you drop it. So you can see I've not come over to the edge. I could easily get another piece, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to pop this just here, and I want the same border roughly, top and side and the top. So I've got this nice white panel down there. Lovely perspective on my card. Feels really good as well. Then I'm going to get this, and I'm just going to put, well, that's nice and wet. I'm just going to lift that a little bit. I'm just going to put a little bit of 3D glue. I'm not going to use it as 3D glue. It's just a good glue for doing things like that. And I'm just going to pop that there. And then I'm just going to pop that underneath. And because it's 3D glue, I've got time to move it around. And I can see a little smidge of a smudge. There we go. Doesn't that look lovely? And I think I need another one. I might just use some of this that I've been using before. So let's cut out a little bit of this. So all I do is come along here and then just cut out a little bit of this. So this is just a laser chipboard piece. So look at what you've got in your stash and just try and use it up. There we go. So I've got enough here to do another one. And this is going to go on here in a minute. But that's a bit too straight. I don't like that. So let's just cut out a few bits. Let's cut a couple deep there, like that. That looks better. Then I might just cut off that corner, just to give it a bit of interest. Okay, so that's going on there. I've also got a few other little bits that I have created. Now, all of these have just honestly come out of my bit box and from recent projects. I've got this. I don't know if I'm going to use them all. I'm not actually going to see that much. I've got some foliage. Now, do you remember I did some vellum leaves over an ink background, and I created, these were the bits to help me cut the vellum out. So I've got these. I don't need all of these. I might just need one. We shall see. And I also found some green leaves. All of those have potential to be used. But we need a flower or two. Let's have a go. So I thought we'd have a go. So I'm going to move that out of the way. Let's move that out of the way. And knocking it. And I'm going to bring in some foam. So this is half a sheet of foam. It's just the white flower making foam. Can you believe it? I've actually had to order new foam because I've run out, or nearly run out of white. I've got so many lots of colours, but I'm nearly out of white. Perfect. So this is 9 inches wide, and it's now 6 inches because it was a 9 by 12 sheet. So it's 9 by 6 inches. I'm going to fold it into thirds, like that. And then I'm going to fold it in half. And before I fold, I'm just going to check. Oh, and this is perfect peony flat floral die. And I'm going to take my mini folder, put that in, and I'm just holding it nice and tight. So we've got 6 layers of foam there. And most good flower making dies will go through 6 layers. I'm going to go backwards as well, just because it's 6 layers. But you shouldn't have any problem whatsoever. Look at that, it's cut straight through. Brilliant. The other thing, while I'm cutting, some of the navy card from the mats and layers, I'm just going to cut out a couple of little navy flowers as well. Now, if you don't want to do this bit, I was actually planning to use some pre-bought flowers on this, but I think I've got enough made up. And look at that, let's cut those out. Absolutely perfectly. There we go. This was just a little scrap left over. Come on, pop out. There we go. There we are. So I've got some navy flowers and I've got some white. So you want to see this? So look at this. I said 6 layers. It's cut perfectly. I'm just sort of pulling it away from there. If you find your die cutting machine doesn't like 6, you could have done 2 3s. It wouldn't have been a problem. But my mini goes straight through 6 layers of foam. There we go. Absolutely perfect. And then we can open these out. Right, I think I need my mat. Let's put those out of the way. I won't need my die again. Let's get these. And then, now what you have to remember is the more layers you have, the tighter it'll pack together. So it does take, it swings and roundabouts. It can take a little bit longer to separate them, because basically you've packed them together. So let's just get those apart. But it does help, I think, if you use more layers to create that sort of petal-like, there you are, it's pulling apart, that petal-like feeling. Now this one might just need a little bit of a hand. We can use that one in a minute. So I thought I would keep to my navy and white theme. This isn't about realistic flowers, it's just about pretty flowers. So I've got that same midnight ink that we were using before. I only need to do one here. So I'm going to take 3 layers, and you'll notice they're all the same size. I haven't gone smaller just because that's my personal preference. I could have cut 2 large petals and 2 small petals, but I like to cut all the same. And as I always say, I am not concerned about how my ink goes on. I'm going to blend it when I shape. So that's on there. Both sides. Always do the ink on both sides. It'll look so much better. I love making flowers. They make me so happy. And I have to admit, if I'm truthful, I will 9 times out of 10, not always, but 9 times out of 10, depending on the project, I will start with white foam and colour it myself. I just prefer how it looks. Water reactive inks, distress inks, work brilliantly on this. Distress crayons, your Tim Holtz distress crayons are another brilliant way to add ink. Pastel chalks are really good. You could dry pastels, you just put them on with a wet baby wipe. And perhaps I might do a project with dry pastels just so people could see the different effects. Right, I need to clear that up. We are going to get mucky fingers. If you don't like mucky fingers, then you need to maybe consider putting gloves on. I've made a couple, look, and you can see I've already got mucky fingers. So I've now got Spring Meadow. I'm just going to get my dauber and I'm just going to put it in the, I want that one. I don't know why. I want it in the centre, and I'm going to come out about a third of the way up the petals. There we go. There we are. That's all I need. One side, about a third of the way up. Really easy now. So fold it in half. I've got 5 petals here, but don't worry. So I've got 2 paired up, fold them on top of each other, and my 5th one is like that. Now, if you struggle with dexterity, you can use a heat source to soften the foam even further. Something like a craft iron or a heat gun, both work perfectly, but I find my hands are enough. But as I warned you, you're going to get really mucky hands. And then there. Now, this will not only shape your petals, but it will also beautifully blend the ink. If you want to, you can come in like this. I find you get a little bit of a tie-dye effect when you go in like that. Now, I want this ink in the middle, so I'm going to fold it onto that ink and then do the same. Fold it up. You'll see most of my flowers I do like this because it's just a way that works for me. There we go. Right, I'm going to just try and get rid of some of this ink. Just be back in 1 minute. Okay, so let's open up these petals. Now, there's lots of different ways. There is no right or wrong way. You could now get a ball tool and stretch this, but I'm not. I'm going to leave them like that. For me, it just works. And I'm going to open the next one. And I'm going to open the third one. Now, you can use lots of different glues. I could use something like my silicone glue in the middle. But what you've got to remember is it'll try to resist what you're doing. If you use something like your tacky glue is great for sticking your flowers to your project, but I find I want to add shape to my flowers. So I need a glue that dries instantly and is going to hold. So I'm going to use my heat gun. So I'm going to get one flower. You see I've done no shaping apart from, you know, the folding. A little bit of glue in the middle and then put one on staggered. And all I'm going to do is just press it gently so that it doesn't roll away. A little bit more glue in the centre, and then I'm going to get my third layer and I'm going to stagger that again. So hopefully I've got them all staggered. Before it gets too dry, I'm going to then just get my ball tool and I'm just going to let it shape. So you can see now the flower has formed around that ball tool. And also what I've also done is really flattened that glue underneath. So I've not got bulky glue, because the last thing you want is lots of bulky glue. And I can let go of that and I know it's going to stay in that shape. And it's stuck to my mat. There we go. It's going to stay in that shape. If you lose some of your shape, just get the petals and just give them another bit of a shape. There we go. Look, and they come back together. And I didn't get myself a gem out. Let's have a look. Let's see what I can find. I want, does that one look? That's a good colour match. I think I've tried to use that on one. It's got a little bit of glue on, but that's okay. Or a yellow one would have looked nice. Or a paler yellow one. I'm going to go with that one because it's the same as the ones I prepped with. I'd like to say this is just a fraction of my gems and beads. Now you can go in with hot glue, but what I actually like to do at this point is go in with my 3D glue, because then I can just fill that hollow. There we go. And then all I need to do, let's drop this down here, is just drop that on top and it sits above that hollow with the glue filling the gap. Don't worry about glue strings. We can clear glue strings at the end. Isn't that beautiful? And I've got another one. I'm not going to be able to use all of these on my project. And I've got one here that I actually did use 3D hot glue in the centre. And then I just pulled it up so that the glue grabbed, and it's made it more of a sort of a bud. So I've got some different sizes here. So I think I need to bring the card back in, don't I? Oh, we haven't mentioned the little blue ones. The little blue ones. Where have they gone? There they are. Can't see them all. But all I'm going to do is get those, smallest ball tool, and I'm just going to shape. And I'm not going to put anything in the centre for now. So I've got a few here that I've already shaped because I've lost the ones I've just cut. Just shape them just like this. And we'll decorate the centres when we're finished. If you want to decorate the centres now, you just need to leave it a little while to dry. But that's not a problem. So there we go. Right, got a glue string. Let's bring the card back in. Let's move those over there. I don't need this dirty mat. Oh, look, there they are. There's the blue ones up there. Okay, so this is looking really, really pretty. As I said, I think I want to use, let's put that one that way. And that one that way. And then I'm going to get one of my flowers. Which ones do I like? I like that one. And I also like this one. It's a bit more bud-like. How about like that? Does that look all right? Oops. Does that look pretty? It does, doesn't it? Should we do it like that, I think? I think we should. Right. I could use 3D glue for this or hot glue. And we're just going to go with a hot glue. So all I'm going to do is put a tiniest little bit, oops, my glue stick's shifted, a tiniest little bit of hot glue on here, just to hold that down. But it's just holding it down under there. So then it's sort of still moving around the outside. And let's put a little bit of glue on the back there. Took away a bit of my mat, didn't it there? And that one's going to go just there. And then this one. Remember one thing you do have to, when you put your hot glue on, you have to, it will try to shrink the foam. So let's just put those on like that. You will notice always, whenever I make flowers, I always push them up close together. And I should have put some of the leaves on before, but I haven't. Never mind. I've got these two quite like. So actually I could get those in. Let's get some tweezers. Let's put a little bit of 3D glue on there. I can always, what I might do is trim off the end. And then I can push that in the gap just there. There, that's what I was trying to do. I just did the wrong angle, so I couldn't see what I was doing. Let's do this one too. Let's take off a little bit. I might actually take that bit off. Put a little bit of 3D glue in there. And then I do like it when my flowers aren't totally symmetrical. Just adds a bit more interest, doesn't it? Let's go with a green leaf. And I love doing this where I've got foam and then paper or card. A lot of people would probably try and make foam leaves, which is perfect. Go for it. But I do like, you know, doing paper leaves with foam flowers. I just like the contrast of textures. Just think it works really, really well. Now, I always say this, and it's very, very true. When you're doing something like this, one thing you have to remember is, just a minute, that one's not going in the right place. It's going to have to go there. One thing you have to remember is you can come off the edges, both sides and the top, but you must never come off the bottom or your card won't stand. And then I'm just going to pop a couple of these little navy flowers dotted around. Just pop them. Might just put them a couple deep so that you can see them with a little blob of 3D glue. They just add interest, and I love it so that you can see, you know, things from different angles. So you've always got a little bit of interest. It's just, I don't know how many of these I need, so I just cut out a whole bunch and thought, well, that looks pretty, doesn't it? I know I've covered up one of the flowers, but I still got this one here. Now, I'm going to get my sentiments. So I just did a couple of sentiments here. I love that I've got the texture and then the plain here. So I just got for you, I got "You Are Amazing," which I thought might go up here. Then I've got a "Just For You" that could come here. Now, do I need my friends? Well, that could go like that, couldn't it? So we've got that sort of scrapbook look to it. So I can put this one on here, and that can go just there. Then I can do my "Just For You." These can go on flat, they can go on with foam pads. If you've watched me for a while, you know I love to use 3D glue. But all I would say is try not to make things in a line. If you put them in a line, then they've got to be perfect. We were talking about this with butterflies the other day. If they're not perfectly straight, they need to be properly on the wonk. I usually always keep 2 glue syringes. Look at that, that was a little top stopper out of my glue syringe. There we go. Now, how's that looking? Oh, I love that. So the last little bit I want to do is I want to just get some Nuvo drops. I haven't used the white petals, but I don't think I need them. I always have a scrap bit of card before I go. I've warmed this up. Just put it somewhere warm and it'll warm up nicely. And I'm just going to put that in the centre. And I'm doing this last just because if I do it first, I've got to leave them to dry overnight and I hadn't left time. So then I can just do some little dots on here. I've seen this a few times where people just sort of do a little trio of dots and it looks nice. You've got to be really controlled with your dropper. But just like that. And if you wanted to, you could put some on here. It's entirely up to you. Now I'm going to have to be careful lifting this up, otherwise the centres of my flowers are going to move. But how about that? Look at that. So we've got our napkin that we've glued on, we've inked it, we've created texture, we've got our foam flowers that we've made, and then we've used a couple of little bits of our laser cut chipboard. Absolutely love that, and the colours are beautiful. Oh, I'm going up a little bit high. There we go. What do you think? What do you think? I'd love to know. Please tell me. Does it inspire you to have a go? I hope it does. I genuinely do hope you see this and would love to have a go at making it yourself or something similar. Remember, it's what's in your craft stash. If you've not got napkins, look for rice papers. If you've not got either of those, maybe consider just a piece of pretty paper. The foam flowers could have been paper flowers if that's what you prefer. You know, the chipboard, if you haven't got it, cut something out of craft with some of your dies and create something that looked like that. Because this piece here, I could have cut out of a couple of layers of chipboard glued together, of craft card glued together, and it would have looked very much like that. It's really, really adaptable. There you go. I hope you like that. Thank you for watching, and thank you so much for all your comments and all your support. I'm getting loads of lovely comments recently and I do appreciate it. I'm going to link to another project, probably something else with a foam, because my napkin ones usually do all right. I don't need to link to those on the left, and obviously to my subscribe button on the right. Down at the bottom are the links to anything that I've used that you can pick up from Amazon. There's not that much on here, but if there is, I will put it to there. And there's also a link to my Buy Me a Coffee page. And thank you so much for all your support via that. I really do appreciate it. Now, I'm going to disappear and have a big think about what I should make next time for my next project. I wonder. I don't know. Who knows? We'll wait and see what happens. They often don't look anything like at the end what I thought they would at the beginning, so can't plan too much. But for now, thank you for watching, my crafty friends. You take care, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.